Frode, CEO of Gameopedia. This has been your only job, which is also a story in itself.
We are a hidden data layer in the discovery ecosystem. We serve about 300 million gamers every day with a simple mission: make it easy to find the game you want to play.
Today I'm joined by a true visionary and friend, a CEO whose business powers discovery for over 1 billion players a year through partners like Google, YouTube and Amazon. If you've ever searched for a game, this is the man behind it. Why does data matter outside of that, apart from like searching?
The better data you have, the more wise data you have, the more decisions can be made that are actually meaningful to either a gaming company or to a gaming audience. You have no idea how much time we spend discussing whether a shooting game should have sprinting in it or not.
We talk about how to build games that actually get discovered, how indie and AAA teams can use data to make better creative calls, and why building around emotional vibes, not genres, are the key to true player connection. If you are marketing to a genre, then you are limited by that genre and also what everyone has as their impression of that genre.
I don't really care about turn-based RPGs. There was somebody on my team who's like, I think you have to check this out. I looked at the trailer and it wasn't the gameplay at all that made me interested. I got this insatiable appetite to try that game. It was the emotional hooks, not the genre.
From someone who's built the world's largest gaming data company and who's just launched an AI tool called Lumos, which is currently changing how devs design and pitch their game for commercial success. Please welcome this episode's guest, founder and CEO of Gameopedia, Frode Krisner. Frode, welcome.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for coming.
8 hours it took.
8 hours it took. That's dedication, man.
Thank you. Really excited for today. So for everyone at home, we have a lot to get into. So Frode, CEO of Gameopedia, this has been your only job, which is also a story in itself.
Yeah.
And there's a few things I want to get into, but I'd love to hear from you. How would you describe what you do? Because there's a few moving parts. We had a great conversation last night, but to bring people up to speed, kind of what does Gameopedia do? Where does it sit in the gaming industry? Can you expand on that?
We are a hidden data layer in the discovery ecosystem. That's kind of been our primary focus for the last 20 years. We serve about 300 million gamers every day, or maybe more headline-y, 1 billion gamers a year.
That's a nice number.
Yeah, so that's a very nice number. I think I started Gameopedia with just an extreme passion for video games and giving people great experiences. And basically with a simple mission, make it easy to find the game you want to play. And that can make your life a little bit better.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot better.
100%. I know how much gaming was important to me. And I know a little bit about your story as well, and we're going to get into it. And to just kind of set some expectations for today, we're going to get into a few things. So you've also got new products. So there's a few that you've been working on, kind of recently announced.
Yep.
And also just the story that you have, I think is quite inspiring for people to listen. So this is called the Gaming Playbook. So I'm saying a bit of exposition here. Like we're going to be getting into kind of how you built this company from start to finish, because it's a really cool story. Also about kind of how AI fits into this and how you see AI changing in the games industry, because both of these new products are using AI in an industry where people usually have question marks when they're thinking about AI in games. And I think you have a really cool thing going here. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Alrighty. So I want to start from the beginning, because I think people don't maybe understand how important this was to you, specifically that mission that you said. So I'm wondering, like, you said you wanted to start the company to help people find the games, but like, what did that mean to like you personally, if you take me back?
I often say that I started this company when I was 5 years old. I played Prince of Persia on my big brother's Amiga 500. I think he bought the Amiga to be cool. Nice. And he got really cool in his class, but he wasn't so excited when everybody wanted to be with his computer and not him. which is a funny story. But anyway, I played Prince of Persia, and I fell in love with video games. And that love has never faded. It's now 35 years later, but it took a spin when I was, especially when I was 12. I had a chronic illness that meant that I had to stop attending school. I couldn't do all the things that people do in their teenage years, whether it's partying or whether it's being out late or being out almost at all. I had to be in my house. And gaming in those years became a lifesaver for me. I could suddenly be equal to my friends. I could compete on equal terms.
Yeah, could win.
I could win. I could master. I could succeed. And I could be building community both online and interpersonal relationships, which was a lifesaver. And that's why I usually say that gaming, I think, saved my life in those years. And not only did it save my life, but it became my job. And it's so important to me to give those experiences to people because I knew how much it meant to me. And that's always been my mission and my dream. So it's really cool that we're doing that for 1 billion people every year.
Yeah. Could you get into how that happens? You can share what you feel you can share, but like maybe people don't understand how integral this data is to kind of the internet as well. Like when you say 1 billion gamers, like how is that actually happening?
So we have some big partners. We work with YouTube, we work with Google, we work with Amazon, we work with Samsung and others. And these partners have services that they provide to their customers. And our data, our metadata, basically data about games. Everything from cover arts to the title of the game, to the platforms, to the release date, to the age rating. And then we have our taxonomy system, which is a very deep taxonomy that classifies everything from the genre of the game to which gameplay mechanics, how they're implemented, and so forth, into their systems, so that their recommendation systems and their merchandising, or how they show the products to customers, are improved.
Nice.
And that's basically what we do.
See, I understand how cool that is for people using maybe Google search and then Google themselves, right? But why does data matter outside of that, apart from like searching? Like, do you see data being... If someone heard that, you'd be like, cool story, bro. Like, would I think about this again? Or is this just like the meta layer? Like, is there something else that the data can do when you've got so much data at that point?
It's a good question. I would say data is structured knowledge and insights that's synthesized into something. And the better data you have, the more wise data you have, the more decisions can be made that are actually meaningful to either a gaming company or to a gaming audience.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been our forte, that we focus on the gaming audience. And now we are taking this data, which was kind of always the dream and the mission, we're taking that more into the game developer and publisher sphere, where they can also learn more about the gaming industry. So it's really exciting.
It is. And especially for my audience. So my audience are mostly the people making the games, the professionals, the people who maybe are making their first game. Some of the most popular episodes are on discovery and marketing, and how difficult it is because there's so many new games that come out.
We know that problem very well.
I can imagine. Yeah. So I'd love to focus on the industry side today. So when it comes to the game developers and the publishers, how are you working with them? Like, how can they benefit?
So we've had throughout the years, we've had some partnerships with the developer and publisher scene. But this is primarily our new product, Lumos. It's bringing that to the forefront. Because we have all of this data on the design aspect of the game, what mechanics does the game have, how is it, what's the nuances of how it's implemented, and so forth and so on. This is this came about because one of our industry, multinational big company, said, we have all the data in the gaming industry except this. And we want to access it to do research in the gaming industry.
What were they researching for, if you can share?
Game development.
So they wanted to make better decisions about what games they develop?
Correct.
Okay.
And what features you put into the game. And this super cool lady was head of research in one of these huge multinational gaming companies. And she said, it's like, you have no idea how much time we spend discussing whether a shooting game should have sprinting in it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's just a small thing, right?
And it's funny because if you just able to have, like, how many games have sprinting? How are they economically fair to the others?
Exactly. That's like a super simple explanation of what that could do. It's like you could actually analyze a very small segment of the market or a larger set of the market and find these nuances among the tens of thousands of validated data points that is humanly curated, which has been our expertise for the past close to 20 years.
Hey guys, if you've been through the trailer and this is something you are not completely bored of, you probably would enjoy it. So subscribe. We do this every week, and that is the best way you can support the show. Subscribing and sharing with a friend. Thank you. Now back to the show. So how does that actually happen? So you've been doing this 20 years. We're in this office now.
Yeah.
I can imagine when you started, when you're barely not a teenager anymore.
Yeah,
it wasn't,
it's like 20, 21-ish.
Probably wasn't. So how does that actually happen? When you say humanly curated?
Yeah. So we have an awesome team in India. A bunch of gamers, a bunch of geeks. We're just a big bunch of geeks. We love data. We love insights. We love telling the story of games in these data points.
How do you mean?
So that is what I just mentioned about the data is basically synthesized insights and knowledge. It's like, how do we tell the story of this game in a good way? And the team is sitting there reading about the games, looking at podcasts.
Oh, wow, podcasts. I thought they would just be playing the games.
No, they are also playing the games. Whatever it takes, because what we are doing is we cover the game from when it was announced to when it's released and also post-release. So we cover the game through its entire cycle. And the big games can have 50 to 100 updates from the time it's announced to the time it's released.
So,
and then the team is sitting there and doing this work and then putting in all these tags.
So maybe we should understand how many tags are we talking here? Because like if I started listening to this podcast, I'd probably think, you have the genre. Is it a PC game? Is it?
Yeah.
So how deep does this go?
It goes quite deep. We have 22,000 potential data points per game. And most AAA games have over 1,500 data points selected per game.
So there's 22,000 possible data points.
Yes.
And depending on the game, there's 1,500 actual tags
selected.
Oh, wow.
And that tells you there's a lot of depth, variety. Everything from the story, the theme, the story mechanism, how you tell the story, the design components, what mechanics are in the game, what are you playing as, what are you playing against, what are you using when you're playing? Yes, like a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
Let's take it to the two types of listeners listening to this. So we have the indie developer who's understood discovery will be a problem. I, of course, want to make good games. I will do some marketing eventually. We have this person listening, and we also have the example you gave, the maybe more established game developers who have teams. Who
Enterprise.
Yeah. And there's obviously people in the middle. Given that this data exists, and not everyone, you haven't spoken to every game developer, right? Like, what should they do about this information? So the indie developer, when they're thinking about, I'm guessing discovery, and you can maybe correct me here, is the main benefit here discovery on like the game and like what to put in the game to hope it gets discovered?
Yep.
Like,
that's what we designed the system for originally. And we've kind of been saying that discovery is a multifaceted problem, because it actually starts when you start designing the game, when you start making the game. That's actually when discovery truly starts, because you have to make something that people want to discover.
Yeah.
Right? Because the discovery problem is a two-sided problem.
Yeah, and the data is there, right? Because if you've got all this data, just to remind people, you get in the economic data or the amount of players?
Yep. So we have the amount of players, we have the revenue numbers, we have some social media and like sentiment type data. And we put all of this together and present it to indie developers, to more established brands, into Lumos that we just launched last week in beta.
Wait a minute. So if I'm an indie developer now,
Yeah,
and I want to design my game, you're telling me I can just go find out what all the best games are doing?
yes. And you can like really dive deeper into these specific like sub-segments in gaming.
Yeah, like I'm guessing if my next quarter I'm focused on this one feature, you could analyze all other games who have that feature.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then you could be like, okay, I'm building a city building game, but a city building game that has an animal theme. How many games exist of that nature?
Yeah. Are they doing well?
There were two games that were released 20 years ago, and they were actually quite popular. Actually, 20 years ago. We don't have data yet for 20 years ago, so that was a misspoke.
It's all good.
Yeah, but
how far does it go?
Right now we have data spanning back. What is it? I think it's for some use cases it's 10 to 15 years.
Okay, nice.
And we will be trying to expand that more and more.
Like thousands of games.
75,000 games on the Lumos platform right now.
Wow, yeah.
More will be coming. PC console, that's our focus.
Yeah.
Mobile will probably come at some point, but PC console is our focus.
So if you've got an indie developer in front of you,
Yeah.
they're listening to this and they are thinking, like how soon should they be looking at data to advise the development decisions? Because there's kind of like a thing that in the arts and craft, like if you go too data-driven, you can kind of maybe, it feels too forced, like you're really just trying to force, I'm going to make something for this imaginary player that fits the data.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's a line, right? And most game developers are creative. They want to make something that they would play typically.
Absolutely.
So like, where's the line here?
I think this is a very poignant question, something we learned also very deeply when talking to more game developers, that I think there's some lines that are drawn from bigger studios to smaller ones. Of course, gaming is a creative art throughout. But I think the small teams, which I find so inspiring and so fun, is that they're so freaking passionate about creating something super cool. And what we've really focused on is this idea that we should help amplify creativity. It shouldn't be that we tell you what to do. Probably we don't even know that. But we can help you answer some questions faster, so you don't have to spend too much time thinking about what to do, and you can actually start doing and creating the art that you want to create. Because that is gaming. It's an art. It's culture.
Weird parallel to what I do, because when I write content, I started writing kind of when AI was like getting there, but now it's like getting really good. And at least in my bubble, there's this big conversation on writing content with AI, without AI. And some people say, how dare you write content with AI? Some people are like, how would you not write with AI? Why are you manually writing the first draft and then not just editing? And I'm thinking about the parallel here, where if you start trying to develop a game only looking at data and you keep going, versus you have a core idea and you try to fine tune that with the data, it feels like when you mentioned the game developers they're so passionate, you didn't say they want to make a bunch of money. So the passion came first, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like these, I'm so fascinated by this just innate desire to create. I think I have that in a different level, because I'm working on a different problem. but I still have that innate desire to create something meaningful. And I think that's so cool when you look at these small indie game developers. We went to Nordic Game Conference in May, talked to many companies, and like almost all of them were just bootstrapped, like small companies, just like, I'm building this game, I'm really passionate about it. How can you not like that?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
But we need to make money. I guess
we need to make money.
Like, that's where my business hat comes on. And I feel like this can help, right? Because you don't want to build something which is cool for 5 people if you can do tweaks and make it cool for 5 million people.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big difference.
That's a big difference. And this is where you need to understand the market segment that you want to go into. Who are you competing against? And one thing that was also a very interesting insight when companies that were publishing medium-sized games.
Define medium?
Maybe not medium. I would say small to medium, like 100,000 players. Like that was their target. They wanted to know, who can I compare against? And that data is not in Lumos today, but it's coming, where you can actually say, we want to compare with
those smaller titles
with team sizes of other studios. Like, this is the team size.
That's interesting. That's an interesting
and
request.
Also the success of the game. So how many players does this game have?
That's
because
funny.
if you're not competing, you don't want to get 10 million players. If you see that as totally unrealistic, you need to make sure that you actually compare against the games that matter.
It's so funny because on YouTube, there's a website, there's a few of them, where you can check for outlier thumbnails.
Yeah.
And if you are looking only at Mr. Beast thumbnails, you can't learn much from that because the numbers are so big, where an outlier for him is very different, where you'd probably learn a lot more if you got an outlier from someone who's got 1,000 subscribers.
And suddenly has 100,000 views on a video.
Yeah, it's like, well, if that works for them, it's like, that's like 10 times more insightful than looking at what was the best game in my genre. That's an interesting request. Is that something you can do eventually? Or that would be very cool. Like, because then you could, business idea, you could do a report. Who was the most efficient game studio of the year?
Yeah.
Amount of employees.
Very cool.
Amount of players and amount of revenue.
Yeah.
And then you can then maybe see who was the least efficient. Very amount of players, but it took 2,000 people or something. Right? It's interesting that they've requested that, because it makes sense, right? Like, what should that person do when? Because this is one of the biggest problems that keeps coming up on this podcast. Excuse me, I lost my voice. It keeps coming up on the podcast, where like, how do I build something that people want to do? So, like, from the conversations you've had, who do you think is like killing it right now in that regard, or maybe thinking through this problem? Because it's a big problem.
It's a big problem. The industry has moved into this genre fusion over many years.
Yes,
where, like,
some of the biggest titles, right? There's a fusion of a few other titles.
Think about GTA 3 when that came out, how it kind of introduced so many different types of play into one game.
Yeah.
And that has kind of just evolved and evolved and evolved. And now almost all of these big games have RPG mechanics, right? And I think it's about looking at patterns and finding these interesting ideas that has worked in other games and thinking, like, how can I apply this? Those companies I'm really excited about. And that dare to go, like, because I don't think it's just that's the danger of the data approach, right? That you get locked into seeing what the market is and not what the market can be.
There's a meme where it's like, if you're building another roguelike deck builder, give me a break.
Give me a break.
So is that kind of what you're getting at? Like, if you only did the data, you would just kind of build.
Exactly. And that's where the creativity get lost, right? So that's where you be like, I have this hypothesis. Is there any evidence that hypothesis can work?
Again and again, I think that's an important thing, because if it's worked once, but what else? Like,
and most things have usually worked in some way, right?
That doesn't mean it's
even if it's fresh, even if it's a new idea. Like when Steve Jobs came out with the iPhone, okay, he knew the phone was working. He knew that great interfaces and UX worked. And he saw that people were super frustrated with their phones. And he was like, this is the biggest thing we've ever worked on.
Mm-hmm.
He had that instinct because he saw the fundamentals. And that, I think, applies to this creativity field as well, that you can, of course, you can just go out and, if you want to, just create the game that you want to create and have no kind of sense for the market. An investor probably won't like that, right? They need to see some sort of, that you have some sort of interest.
That's an important point, because even if you keep going down the road which you originally planned, it might eventually work.
Yeah.
But a lot of developers, to hit their vision, need support, whether it's a publisher or an investor.
And you need advice.
True. And those people, I mean, they're going to be making bets.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make a bet on something over something which they think is a better bet.
Yeah.
And they have very, very, I guess, I mean, maybe you know this a lot better than most. Like, how does a publisher think about funding a game versus a player playing a game? Like the investor or the publisher in the room, I'm guessing, as far as I know, they look at what is this possible to become? Is there any comparables? And what's your current traction? So a big one is the comparables, right? So if you never look at comparables, then how can you make that pitch potentially?
Right. It becomes very difficult. And I think that's why we're building a feature into Lumos where you can analyze pitches and get feedback on it.
Oh, that's going to be...
Yeah.
That's going to go far.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and we've seen a lot of positive market traction, like feedback on it.
Yeah, I can already... If I put this in a few Discords, it will they will lap it up. Let's put it that way.
I think it's really cool. And what we're seeing is... so I'm not the greatest expert at investing in games. Like, I've never invested in a game, except, of course, buying games.
Personal investment.
Personal
a
investment.
lot of time and cash
definitely.
money.
I'm very good at that part. But I think when you're just looking at the investor conversations, figuring out what do they actually care about, whether you're a publisher or whether you're this. One thing is just for them portfolio management. That they actually look at their entire portfolio, not just you.
And also, I think it's important to know some people logistically will only invest in X type of game.
Yes.
And even if it's not reasonable for you, for them, that's the thesis. You can't change their thesis typically, unless it's like the best thing they've ever seen. But you can't bank on that, right?
No.
So, and also versus 5 years ago, a lot less people that can invest. So sometimes you need to play that game.
You need to play that game, and you need to not to try to spend too much money on it, so you get away from those creative tasks. And I think one thing you also said is, you touched upon one important point that made me think, right before we started this part of the conversation, you said something about the game developers want to make this game, but they can't go on forever or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the game developers, which was quite a small one, was it 10-ish people? They said that they were over-focusing on the wrong features. So they spent so much time building the wrong feature in a game, where you could actually have spent, this feature will actually drive my game success. This is a standout feature. This is getting traction among users. But they spent all this time building features that were good, but didn't make the game amazing.
How did they realize that?
When they launched the game, they kind of saw it towards the end of the game development. We're running out of money. We have to get the game out. But it was too late. And if they had seen that earlier in their pipeline, in their development pipeline, they could have pivoted and say, you know what, we need to focus on these features now. Because these features are actually what drives success. This feature is a cool feature.
Essential.
But it's not essential for making an amazing game. And that, I think, is super important.
Because that's a 0 to 1 example. As in, the game that ships without that feature could be a dud.
Yeah.
Where if it ships with the feature, it's at least it can sell copies, and then maybe.
It could be that outlier feature that you talked about, right?
Yeah, that's really interesting to me because if I could just dig in, I can go find what's all the outlier features right now. What is someone not making? What is someone making from if this data comes to Lumos from a 100-person studio versus a 10-person studio? You can probably infer that now, not too hard anyway. You can just put a label on the actual studio. Because then you can, I'm just seeing this as a matrix, right? Like you have all these games coming out and then you have this circle where this feature is killing it. But not a lot of people have put a lot of attention into that feature recently. Cool, I can do that.
Right.
Or I'm making a game which has that feature. Maybe I should focus on it.
And this feature is getting a ton of traction in this other game that is in a different genre than me. But actually, I can actually apply that with my creative magic powers. I can actually apply that to this game and be like, oh, that's actually super cool. And that's a pitch I can make to my investors.
And it's also, I can imagine, like as someone who does marketing, you now know where those people live, who would buy the game.
Yeah.
All these people who buy games with those features, there's a Discord community of everyone who's played that game.
Yeah.
You could, like I know we had someone on the podcast who talks about Discord marketing. Like there's a very cost-effective way where you can just do Discord posts in a lot of these Discord servers which have gamers. Some of them are even fan-made Discord servers. But there's like a whole ecosystem where you can do a paid post where you give people like a discount code because they're in that Discord. Well, with Lumos, you could find what games have my features, even if they're not games you were designing or comparing against. Then you go market to those people directly. And then your cost per install will be... It's cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty cool.
I think you can derive a lot of these unique insights and you can chat with it, right? So you can get these answers just the way you want it.
Yeah. And I like the fact that the feedback loop is quick. Like I think the most amazing thing that I find about like the LLMs is I have a question, I ask it, and I can go back and forth and feel content and then move on.
Yeah.
Whereas in a traditional...
There's a lot of clicking.
Yeah, but in a traditional gaming data situation, it can take days, right, to get a response on one answer. And in those days, maybe something has changed.
Yeah.
But you can ask a question, it's like, oh, actually, I realized by asking this question, you got this. So let me ask it again. It's a lot more expensive. I know this, like trying to get a podcast edited. What I think means this doesn't necessarily mean that. But because it takes a week, then the feedback loop then goes into weeks and then months. And like a real example of me, like I've got a backlog of 7 podcasts. The only reason that is the case is because the feedback loop of me talking to the editor and coming back takes weeks.
Yeah.
And I think traditional ways of getting games tested from a data point of view, I'm guessing it's like you order a report, they come back, and you probably don't have the budget to do that 1,000 times. You might do 1 or 2, right?
We have some conversations with game testing companies to be able to figure out like how can we
plug in.
How can we work together to kind of make this a better experience for all parties involved?
You said testing, not data.
Well, this is game testing.
So why would you not say the data people? What do you mean by why would the game testing people partner with you?
To get more insights into what the people are actually doing while they're playing the game. So you can actually analyze not just against this data set, but you can also expand against what the world is saying about these different things.
So like they could infer by either asking or reviewing the footage what they thought about like each individual tag.
Yeah. And we can also understand more what is happening on screen in the moment that they're playing at scale.
How?
So this is the other product that we're working on with Bragent.
Okay, cool.
Where you can, Bragent is basically brain agents, where you can think about you're replicating your own mental processes. And we are a bunch of gaming geeks, experts that love video games. And scaling that is hard.
And you've been trying probably for decades.
Yeah, I've been kind of doing that for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because there's so much tacit knowledge, there's so much nuance that is specific for the problem that you're trying to solve. That's not written down anywhere.
How do you teach nuance to the person who's tagging?
To the person who's tagging?
Yeah, because like
it's a ton of examples, a ton of real world complexities that they have to experience. Our team, it takes a full training cycle to be like a fully fledged taxonomist in our team. It takes about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so it takes about 3 months for them to get up to the point where they can just do it more on their own. And then it takes another 3 months before they have it under their belt.
Hope you've been enjoying the show. Very quick note to say that we are doing B2B gaming events. So if you enjoy these type of conversations and you want to have them in a roundtable setting or in a place where there's food and drink complimentary, we just released our 2026 event calendar. So if you go to the website hivemind.world or the first link in the description, you can sign up for the next mixer. Now back to the episode. Some of these terms are very amorphous, right?
Yeah,
like,
and
what does cozy mean?
Yeah, and it's like so many dimensions, right? We have one category that we're very proud of that's called emotional vibes. So it's the emotional vibe that the games give the player.
Is that the full tag or is there tags underneath emotional vibes?
Emotional vibes has like 35 tags.
Wow.
And each of these tags has like 4 to 10 subtags that you need to...
Defining emotions here.
Yes, that's what we're doing. And you are like, each of those subtags has another 5 levels. So you can think about the complexity here.
Yeah.
It's quite deep.
Gets philosophical at some point.
Oh, yes. We've had a lot of philosophical discussions.
I can imagine the team meeting on defining, I don't know, romance. Like, okay, well, how much romance is enough romance?
Oh, we know those conversations very well. Like, define drama.
I don't know what the drama means when I'm on Netflix.
Yeah, it's like it's everything and nothing in a way.
It's like, if it's a movie and it's not dramatic, is it even a movie? I'm like, isn't everything a drama?
That's the complexity, right, of doing these types of tags, because you always have to have specificity, but you don't want too much specificity. You want it to be abstract enough. So one term that was super helpful to me was, one concept that was super helpful to me was the wisdom pyramid.
Wisdom pyramid.
Wisdom pyramid. So you have a wisdom pyramid basically has 4 layers. And you have the bottom layer is like, you think of data, noise. Data equals noise. There's a ton of what, very little insights. And you take a ton of different data points and you combine them. And then you add a little bit of insight. And suddenly you have information. Information? Yeah, I think that's the step. And then you take a bunch of pieces of information, you stitch them together, add a little bit of insight, you get knowledge. You take multiple pieces of knowledge, you add insight, and you get wisdom. And wisdom is where you can truly act. You
can act on the wisdom.
Yes.
But we are using things which on their own can't do much with. But because we have...
So we have multiple pieces on each level, that's when it gets... You're getting to the top. And that's what we're building. Like, our company Flywheel is all about getting more of that wise data. That's one of the important pieces of the puzzle.
Right, someone's listening to this and they're itching right now. You mentioned Lumos is out as of last week.
Yeah, so beta.
Yeah, maybe...
A ton of cool features coming in the next few weeks.
So if the indie developers listen to this, what do they do?
Can they just go to asklumos.com and sign up? So free, right now it's a free beta.
Oh, nice. Is it limited?
It will be limited. We're going to be launching a payment thing in January, early January, hopefully. Things always takes time, so maybe mid to late January.
Yeah, you're like me. We can do this in 2 months.
Yeah. It's like, I love Elon Musk's saying of, you put the 10-year goal into 6 months, you know you'll fail.
But at least it happens in 2 years, not 10.
Exactly. So
warp speed.
You try to achieve warp speed at least. And I think the cool thing with what we're also trying to do is we try to make this type of data a lot more accessible, also for indie devs. So the pricing points are not horrible. They're not scary.
Nice.
Like $50 a month. And you get a lot of good insights.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, it's literally thousands, if not tens of thousands sometimes, to get like a full-blown data report, for example.
Yeah, many of our like more established competitors charge $10,000-$15,000 a month, and
A month for data?
Yes, so
Not
access to a tool.
That's not a hiccup. Nice.
Yeah, so you can of course that's for bigger customers, but if you have smaller ones, that would be, or medium-sized ones, they usually don't work with companies that don't pay like less than $5,000 a month.
Wow. So this is something that let's call them AAAs, just to give it a term, they've had kind of something like this.
Yeah.
But this has become a lot more accessible. Yeah.
That's what we want to do. We want to serve the enterprise audience as well. But I think that we have a real passion of making great games, and we see in the industry that so many of these indie developers and these passionate people, there are so many cool new ideas that are coming. And if we can help in any way, we would just love to do that.
The beautiful thing here is it can be such a small thing, but it's the 80-20 rule. If that is enough, where it gets you over the finish line, and you actually have your first game be a commercial success, where you can then go make another game and then 20 more games, that's like either a career that exists or a career that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool.
We talked about it when we went to dinner last night, talked about this, the creative person usually doesn't love to talk about money.
Yes.
Because they don't want to talk about their art. But the money is what can amplify your creativity to do more creativity. But if you don't have money, there is one point where you just stop.
Yeah. Either the solo artist, or you become the person that can fund a few families and also do it for more than a year or two.
Yes, you can, and maybe you can build 3 more successes, right?
Yeah.
And now AI is becoming a tool that can help us speed many things up. Great. Use it to not limit yourself in your creativity, but amplify that creativity.
Beautiful. You gave a talk at Nordic Game on, I believe it was the term genre, and kind of like what it meant.
Yeah, I don't remember the name right now, but it was something like how genre is the kind of illusion that's killing the discovery.
Yeah. Can you expand on that? Because I found it interesting. Like, what do people think maybe genre is, like the professional game dev? And from kind of your perspective, what, I guess, should they be thinking? What should they consider?
Yeah. So I think the core hypothesis of that talk is kind of at the core of Gameopedia, is that we are emotional beings. Human beings are emotional beings. You are not talking to a machine. And if you ask anybody, why do you play the game you play? I don't think anybody, maybe this is too strong of a statement, but I don't think anybody would answer, oh, it's a shooter game, and stop.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen.
But some people are marketing as if people would say that.
Yes. And it's like you would describe, oh, I had this awesome moment where I put 3 combos together and I jumped from this building and I did a headshot on my way down. It was like amazing.
Yeah.
Right? You feel like this powerful, kick-ass gamer. But those emotional triggers and moments are not part of the discovery journey for most of the discovery content that you see.
When you say discovery content, you're saying
this is
content,
ads. Yeah. This is the press release that the companies are putting out. This is the discovery experiences on the platforms. This is through the entire industry, and of course, it's not like the gaming industry just sucks at this completely and doesn't understand it. But it's this. I think there is this overemphasis on like I'm making a shooter.
And here's why it's a good shooter.
And here's why it's a good shooter.
Rather than here's why it's a good experience.
Here's why it's a good emotional experience. It makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel connected. It makes me feel challenged in a good way. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Like that you really like just just like a good movie, like a good song. The small things in that game amplifies that emotional experience. And those are the things you really need to showcase when you are putting out a video on social media as an ad or whatever it may be.
I feel like hearing you say that, I was thinking about how movies are sometimes advertised, and there's this like caricature which comes to my mind where it's like big words, it's like iFree Max, boom, it's just like feature,
Yeah.
feature. And some of the trailers that I've seen are very much like, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. When, like for me anyway, most people, I guess my age, where you now have a job, and you have a few hours a day, at max you could play a game. The only reason I would play a game is if I can pick it up and drop it in 15 minutes, for me, mobile game, or I'm playing with friends, right? So
I had this as a very good. This touches upon what I used in my talk as like my example of living this was Clair Obscure 33.
Yeah, just one game of the year.
Just one game of the year. It's like such a cool, again, creative endeavor. But nobody on, like, I don't really care about turn-based RPGs.
Okay.
I don't really love RPGs in general. It's not my thing.
So if someone said, hey, this new amazing RPG came up, you would be...
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. I just, like, no, I don't care. But then I looked, there was somebody on my team was like, I think you have to check this out. So I looked at the trailer. And it wasn't the gameplay at all that made me interested. What was interesting was like this city that I really love, Paris, is in ruins. Something very strange has happened. It was very mysterious. It was very like, could almost say, what was the term I used? Oh, I can't remember right now.
Were you curious about the world?
But it got me very like, I got this insatiable appetite to try that game.
Why?
Those things, those emotional hooks in that game with it was like this mystery of, well, what is this? Why are people dying? This is a very like scary thing. It was the emotional hooks, not the genre, because the genre it's a very easy thing to trigger because it creates familiarity, right? But it's also a danger that you limit your market by not actually talking to emotions that is much more fundamental. And you can have the same emotion playing 5 different genres.
Wow, it's so similar to content. If you talk through the feeling, right? Like in my world, if you're trying to educate someone how to market games, cool. That will get all the marketers being, I'll tune in. But if you're talking about the story of how a game managed to kind of pull through, and you're buying into the emotion of like, oh, how did they pull it off? And then you stick around for the marketing lesson, well, you've got Harry as well, who maybe isn't thinking about marketing games now.
Yeah.
And you might hook in someone who will eventually enjoy an RPG. So cool, because it's the...
And I actually ended up buying Clair Obscur and enjoying it very much.
There you go.
But I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for that emotional trigger.
And you were a convert because it comes back to what you said before with the emotional vibe tags. If you are marketing to a genre, then you are limited by that genre and also what everyone has as their impression of that genre, which is not as defined as maybe what Lumos would define, but everyone has their own opinions because the only RPG they played sucked.
Which is another big problem in the gaming industry from a discovery point of view, is that there's very little consistency of what terms mean. So
also quality, right? Because if someone plays a bad shooter 4 times in a row, their definition of shooter is that.
Most likely.
And on top of that, these are amorphous terms because anyone can kind of select their Steam tag, I assume. Yes,
everybody can select their own Steam tags. And so we are trying to kind of bring that objectivity level into the whole conversation.
Yeah, because people aren't asking you what tag they should put on their game. You're telling them this is the tag.
Yeah. And we have a rule set that each tag has to apply to. And I think it's a very interesting thing when you see all the big platforms that can have, for some games it can be extreme differences. One game can be a simulation, and another game can be, another store can be calling that game as a cozy game, and another store can call it as a action game.
Why is that happening? Is that self-selection, or is that the stores deciding?
The stores have their own. Everybody has their own taxonomies.
Oh wow, that can get
Yes.
confusing.
It gets confusing, and it's also gamed by the game developers. So maybe a trick for all the
Put a bunch of keywords.
you put the wrong keywords, but it doesn't matter because it's popular. So when people go into action on the PlayStation Store, your game will come up.
Wow. So
So the game is played.
That's interesting, which is naughty, because if you understand that the tag action is popular right now, you want to make them a living. It's kind of action, not really, but it's kind of action.
Yeah, there are some action elements.
Yeah. In that mini game for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But then you could do that, which is
And some people just straight up lie. Like there's no action element in here at all.
yeah.
Of course, that's not super common, but we see this we see this problem a lot.
But the fact that they're trying to do that, I think, shows how bad discovery has gone.
Yeah.
They're trying to game a app store optimization on a search rather than the actual human who's kind of
Actually understands what these terms mean.
Yeah.
And objectively try to apply it. Of course, it's a subjective rule set, and we are always updating our rules. But it's this dynamic that I think is very interesting. And gaming is very difficult because it keeps on evolving so much.
Yeah.
But it's also so... when a gamer plays a game and when another gamer plays a game, it's never the same experience. Everybody watches the same movie.
Yeah.
Everybody watches the same TV show.
If you are different ratings.
If you are watching Squid Game, you have the same. You can have a different emotional experience, but what you're seeing is exactly the same.
I see what you're saying now. So like people watch the same movies, they have different reactions. In gaming, it's like cubed because everyone plays it for a different amount of time, different emotional state, and also the game itself is different.
You can play a different type. You can have a different role in an RPG where you're like the archer and another guy is the healer.
Yeah,
right.
It's a very different experience.
Very different experience, and you can be in a totally different part of the world than the other guy, and maybe you never even touch upon the same experiences.
Wow, like Minecraft is one of the examples for me where it's like
So different.
there are some people who pretty much play it as an RPG, role-playing, whatnot, on a server. There's other people who just play with their dad, and it's just a way to teach their kid how to do something. It's like an educational game. And then you have...
Somebody builds a copy of New York.
Honestly, wow. Like for me, when I grew up, I found a way to play Minecraft without paying when I was really young. And I was too scared of dying for some reason. So I turned off all the hostile mobs the first whole year.
Okay.
And for some reason, I thought, okay, you know what I'm going to do? Dig a hole until bedrock. And I'm just sitting there holding with a stone pickaxe. And I just did that all day. My experience of Minecraft then is very different from what it is now. Because for me, it was like, this is so cool. I can change the world. As in just change the box at a time.
Oh, that's a powerful emotional experience, right?
Yeah.
I can change the world.
Yeah, I can change anything. I log in and it's still there. And for me,
Talk about feeling that power sensation. Like, I am powerful in this experience right now.
Yeah.
I can actually morph the world into what I want it to be.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe what brought you into Prince of Persia or Clair Obscur. Like, you can maybe change this story.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
There's something deeper going on that's touching me on a human level.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to, because we kind of touched on it, but not too deep. It sounds like a lot of work. So you mentioned Bragen is helping, kind of these are interconnected, right?
Yep.
So we have Gameopedia, which is data, great. Lumos is a way for developers now to use that data, really cool. People should check it out. And the third thing is Bragen is helping, from my understanding, Lumos get that data quicker.
Yes.
Right?
So we have this, you can think about it as a flywheel. where we have the metadata is powering experiences both internally for Gameopedia, but also externally. And you have Lumos, which helps the decision layer. And then you have Bragents, which is teaching. It's a teaching layer where domain experts can teach their expertise to the data points, which is then feeding in more metadata, which is then powering more experiences, and then the cycle goes. So that the Bragent, that you're able to take your expertise and have AI classify exactly what you want it to classify correctly at scale, that is very powerful. It's super cool. But I think it's so interesting when you have that in our ecosystem, that we can actually, because one big bottleneck for us has been that it's been so hard and expensive to develop new taxonomy points. You suddenly have a back catalog of thousands of games that you have to do.
I forgot about that. It's not just going forward. We're going to do a little bit extra step. It's like, nope, you've also now got big ticket, I guess.
Yes. So, and it takes a lot of time to do it properly. You can get AI to design your taxonomy very quickly.
Okay.
You just chat GPT it and say, I want a taxonomy that does this. It can get you somewhere. But actually getting that taxonomy to work and to be nuanced and to not have contradictions and
75,000 times.
Yeah, and to actually work at scale, to apply it, it's a hard task.
Yeah.
And to know that it actually works at scale. That you not only do it for 100 games, but you do it for those 75.
That's working now?
It is really, yeah, it's working.
Okay, cool. So just to understand, the Bragent is helping tag these games by the AI looking at content on its own and then making tags?
Yeah, so we can apply content, or we can use search, or we can do different types of tasks and feed it to the system, and it helps us classify the games according to our rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been posting about this recently, and you mentioned it can be done in other industries.
Yep.
Right. So
that's the hypothesis, and we're seeing some positive signals that's possible. We need to verify it more at scale.
What can people expect? Maybe like if someone's listening to this and think, "Oh, that's interesting."
We are looking for alpha testers on Bragent to be able to apply their expertise to Bragent, so that they can scale. Kind of get a teammate that copies your expertise, and that you can send documents or videos or images into this, and it goes out the other side like a human would process that information. You get an answer that sticks to your rule sets.
Beautiful.
Which we think is an extremely powerful thing, because if you want to automate or you want to speed up certain processes, it's actually a mental exercise that the system has to go through. And you need to make sure that if you're going to trust that for compliance, for data tagging that you want to trust, for decision making, for quality assessments, you want to make sure that it actually does what you want it to do every single time.
Yeah, because right now, I guess the current LLMs aren't really built for that. At least I've noticed. It's because
the more nuance you have, the trickier it gets. Yeah. And how do you trust that it does that over time?
Because for me, I have these weeks where I'm like, oh my God, this was amazing. The advice it gave, beautiful. And then one day I'm like, what is happening? It's the same prompt. And I go over and over, and it's like, finally, I got it to work. Yeah. So if I just had every single time, I wouldn't have that realization. It's like, no, this is not working. Let me go back.
That's our hypothesis. That's valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Me too.
Yeah. It's
we've seen it work, so it's really cool.
Beautiful. Nice. You were saying at the start of today's conversation, kind of how this all started from a real problem that you had. But you also, I'm very curious in how did you build this, right? Because you also mentioned, kind of passed over it, how you had a chronic illness at the start and you did not have as much time as the other person, but you were still building the business at the time. So this is me being very selfish now and understanding like, how the hell are you doing this with a lot less time, at least back then, and kind of how that was practically possible, because I still find it very unbelievable.
Maybe it's a bit miraculous, I don't know. But I feel like it's a cool story. When I started the company, I think at the very beginning, I had about 1 hour work capacity per day. Which is...
Paint a picture, please.
As a founder, you know that there's a lot of stuff you need to do.
It's unbelievable. That's the thing. I'm using that word because can you paint a picture? What does that actually mean?
Yeah. So I had I think just a preemptive context. I had a project that me and two of my best friends did when we were in our late teens. We had an Xbox community that we called xfactor.no. And Xbox was not a huge thing back then. But as the contrarian that I am, I would not want to like PlayStation the most. I would like the option that was the second favorite. I really liked what Microsoft was doing with Xbox. I loved Halo. That was still maybe my favorite game. And games cost a lot of money. And we were teenagers and like, how can we get more games? So we started this Xbox community to get free games. That's
nice.
That was the motivation.
I started a podcast to, not 100%, but it's a very big benefit, and get free invites to conferences.
All right. Funny. Yeah, I like that. And then so through this experience, I had the same limitations. Little capacity to do actual work. So I learned through that, okay, I need to build a business that doesn't rely on me delivering something every day. Because that is basically impossible for me. That could be, for instance, on this Xbox community, we're writing reviews and news. And I thought I can do the reviews or I can do the news. Well, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the capacity to keep up with it. And some days I would be like, now I can't work for 4 days. What happens?
What happened?
Then I learned that I can't run my business that way. Because there wouldn't be any news stories. There wouldn't be any reviews. So we would just... we just powered through that. And as that kind of like, I want to do something new, I had learned a very important lesson for me. I need to focus on building a business that works for me, that I can actually work in. And then in 2007, 2006, I think it was, 2007, I read a book by Tim Ferriss called 4 Hour Workweek. Yeah. And like he says in the book, why do you think I come up with this title, 4 Hour Workweek? I use Google Trends to see what like people were searching for. And some people are dreaming of a 4-hour work week. I was dreaming of a 20-hour work week or a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
That would be a dream. But that was not possible for me. So I basically, when I read that book, I had 1 to 2 hours per day capacity of work.
You had 8-hour work week.
So maybe on a good week I had 8-hour work week, right? Wow. But many weeks was just 4-hour work week. And it was so cool because he was kind of pitching this dream life. But for me, it was a dream life of actually being an entrepreneur. So I applied a lot of his methods into building the business.
Anything specific comes to mind?
The most obvious thing is that he talked about how we could use outsourced labor in India to do a lot of his like assistant type work, booking plane tickets and writing this and doing that. And I was like, I need people to do the work that I can't do every day so that I can do the work I have to do every day. So I established an operation in India. We collected a lot of data by the team in India. And then my co-founder, amazing guy called Karan. He joined in 2009. We didn't know he was a co-founder back then, but he became through blood, sweat, and tears, and passion. And he became like a brother to me, and it's that was like one of the core reasons why we succeeded, was that he was there. We could start an Indian team, and he could build out a lot of the parts that I couldn't do. So I can focus on the high-level topics, the strategic thinking, where do we go, my strengths, and then he could do more of the operational stuff.
Thank you so much for listening. Give me 30 seconds of your time. What we do is LinkedIn content for founders and executives in the games industry to help them tell their story, to build trust and authority for their service. What we do is a 30-minute consultation and show you what we would do in your situation for your LinkedIn go-to-market plan for 2026. If you would like a complimentary session, please go to the first link in the description and get our 2-hour workshop for free, and then you can book a call with me and the team. Now back to the episode. This is interesting to me for a few reasons. One is you actually, because of, I guess, physics, logistics, you can't micromanage. Like it's
true,
right? And I know
probably
I can.
why I hate micromanaging.
Yeah, because physically it's not easy to do. Because you know, like the opposite with me is the case. Because I take pride in that I'm working very hard on my business, and if I'm not working hard, why would you work hard? Yeah. So I'm very available, and I'm working on recently now after talking to people who've kind of done what I've done before, and they're basically saying, yeah, like you're. They didn't use the word micromanaging, but it's pretty much micromanaging. Like I was approving everything that happened. So people weren't empowered to own what they were doing, but also grow into that position. And I can imagine building the team in India on 1 to 2 hours a week. Like that sounds to me crazy. It's like, well, how can I train them? How can I do this? How can I do that? So like
it was crazy.
Yeah. So any lessons there? Like I'm sure you've learned on
that's a good question.
Like, is there anything you tell Frode? I like to ask that question. Anyone you tell Frode the day before you'd hire a team in India?
One thing is to don't skimp on the budget for quality people. Get quality people in as soon as you can.
How do you get quality people?
Oh, man. You used to work in recruiting, right?
I have ideas, but I don't know why. When you're doing it for other people versus doing it for yourself,
it's a science.
It's like you can't get it's a science. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you use that word?
It was a kind of realization that we did over the last 18 months of doing. This was a more recent discovery.
Oh, wow.
Of kind of just growing into that. So there's 2 parts, right? The early story of Gameopedia, we developed a set of questions and tests that were able to extract whether you knew something about games, whether you were good at detail detection or like detail oriented and that sort of thing. That was extremely important in the beginning. How do you get those quality people? You need to know really what they are going to do, and you need to be very intentional about the questions you ask, but they should not be one-to-one like we talked about the wisdom pyramid earlier, right? They need to be wise questions so you can actually deduce what they are answering is actually talking to your maybe higher level question. Because you are asking a question that doesn't necessarily directly correlate with the answer you want. There's like an indirect correlation.
Could you role play with me? So I've done this recently where I've had to hire a writer. So for context, we write and consult founders on their LinkedIn content. So in my interview process, I had 4 questions. And I'm reflecting on what you said, and I think I maybe could have made it a wiser question. I'm wondering if you would see how I could improve it. So one of the first questions was, how would you measure performance of a content strategy? And I tried to keep it quite vague because a lot of people, their answer was likes and impressions. Cool. And then what I felt better answer was, what's the goal of the client? They asked me. I said, they wanted to book meetings. Cool. Then we would measure that as the performance of the
That's the
conversation.
metric.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, is that being too harsh? Like, is that a wise question? Because I'm trying to understand if they understand that this is not about views. But I could just tell them. Like, is that a good question to ask? I'm curious, like, what your perspective is here.
It's very good. So full transparency. I'm usually now the last interview round.
Maybe you can tell me what you're looking for then. There.
Yeah, because I think it's what I would say is that you need some of those basic questions as well. That's important. But the thought process is more important than the answer.
Yeah, like the fact that the person asked me questions, I'm always like, not shocked, but I'm like, please ask me more questions. If you don't understand the question.
How many people ask you questions when you have interviews?
Yeah.
That's not, like in my experience, most people have one or two questions.
Yeah, and always I felt...
And the good ones have a lot more.
Yeah, the person I hired, she asked loads of questions. And she continues to ask questions, which is why she's really performing.
Curious.
Yeah, and there's feedback loops that happen there in the real world, but also in the interview process. She gave an answer which had a question mark on it. She asked me, and I was like, oh, you understood something different. Fair. Let me dig deep. I could have had a whole different assumption, right? I want to take it to your final stage, like maybe a few pointers here.
What works for me is it's not the most scientific method, because the scientific method has been before they come to me.
Yeah.
So the processes, how they think about things, a lot of that has already been sorted. So when they come to me, I need to figure out, is this a person I want to work with? Do we have a good vibe? Are they covering kind of the basic points that we want to succeed in together? So I usually ask very ambiguous questions, very abstract questions, to get them, a little uncomfortable, and see if they can handle the ambiguity, because the real world is full of ambiguity.
Yeah. Top tip, ask questions back.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you would reply.
Top tip. And ask for clarifications, right? For anybody interviewing. If you don't, I think the worst thing that people think, it's asking question makes you look stupid.
No.
That's the exact opposite. So that's just a good tip. But I think that this is where it gets interesting for me, because I try, kind of like this interview here, I try to be a natural flowing conversation.
Yeah.
Where we have a few pointers I want to go through. It's not super structured. And how do we extract the personality and the qualities that I'm looking for, like the flexibility, the creativity, the psychological safety in a way.
Yeah.
Because you need that with anything that you are doing creatively. You need to feel that psychological safety that I can be me. And I can say stupid crap, or I can say great stuff.
Yeah.
And both are okay. And you try to assess that during that process.
Because they're coming into a team, right? And they need to...
And they're going to be working with me. They're going to be working with other people. And how clear is their communication?
Yes.
It's, of course, extremely important.
All right.
So that's kind of what I look for. I try to play it by ear, but have a few pointers that I want to get through.
I think that's, at least for me, very demonstrable. Like, you're trying to show that you can... Like, for me, I'd like to look at it from the reverse. What red flags am I trying to avoid? I'm trying to avoid looking like someone who can't communicate well, who will be difficult to work with, and who maybe gets flustered. Like, these are behaviors which you can avoid in an interview. The things we just discussed, asking questions, smiling, going back and forth, not trying to make it feel like a Q&A, asking a question back to Frode. It's like, oh, why do you do X, Y, Z? Then, like, these are things that people can just do or not do. So if you do them, you will have a higher chance.
I think one thing that's also been, that I've kind of experienced more recently, is this asking myself the question, what would I be surprised about with this candidate? So asking a question, for instance, would I be surprised if they were lazy and didn't stick to their timelines and maybe worked a bit slow? Would I be surprised? If that answer is yes, because that's just an instinctive emotional feeling, right? And then that question can apply to anything. Would I be surprised if they sucked at this?
Yeah.
Just ask yourself that question if you're unsure. Because then you would, in my experience, you will find more answers than just thinking about it rationally.
Yeah, I agree. Because gut instinct at the end of the day is not just woo-woo. It's based on pattern recognition and whatnot.
Yes.
And I feel like, just to maybe close this interview chapter, which I think is interesting, it's like, what are the stories you're telling? What is the story of you, the person, as the candidate, but also the mini stories you're sharing in an interview? There's a really nice question I like from Elon Musk. He mentioned he asked everyone is, what is the biggest problem you have solved?
That's his big question.
Yeah. I asked that, and I've learned, I was like, all right, let me give it a go. So I did 20 interviews, and I asked that to everyone, and I wrote everyone's answer. And it was very interesting. I found that I had to correct people a few times, halfway through the answers, like, no, it has to be something you have solved. Because they were talking about like 20% of people did that.
Yeah.
And then the people said, I don't know if this is relevant to the job. I was like, no worries, what was the biggest problem? Then they mentioned how they had a situation where they were doing so much manual work making reports. So she learned TypeScript with ChatGPT and then made a way to automate it and saved like a bunch of time. I was like, that is an amazing answer. Yes, I'm not looking for a coder here, but like the fact you would do that, now when I ask
You're
the question...
a problem solver.
Yeah, so if I'm asking the question, would I be surprised if this person didn't proactively ask me questions when she got stuck? I would now, because of that story, say yes, because she's clearly someone who would not wait to take action. But that took 30 seconds. And I've said so many qualities about a person through that story.
Right, and if you then start digging deeper, if that's necessary, you would really get to that do they truly understand what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Or do they just have that surface level understanding?
Exactly.
I think that specificity in answers is also really important. You need to have, it can sound very good on the surface, but it's like, AI is getting better at it, but very often still when AI answers, it sounds great. I was like, this is quite generic.
Very generic.
Very generic. Yeah, I was being too kind.
Yeah, I
very
think
generic.
For me, I noticed this. It's so funny. I had an application step to become a writer. Is to send me an email saying, why did you start writing? And the second one was, what would be the 2 biggest mistakes you think people are currently doing with their LinkedIn? And the GPT answers are so obvious because it's just like, of course. Like, this is just so like, and then the people who actually had an opinion, they explained where the opinion came from. Yeah. And like, a very practical thing for people here is just the STAR technique. So what was the situation? What was the task? Despite the task, what was your action? And what ended up happening? What was the result? AI will never have those 4 things. So if you have that in every answer, or try to, then you can be specific and like at least pass the Frode step. Yeah.
I think it's very important to look for these little signals.
Beautiful. Nice little tactical session on getting an interview here at Gameopedia.
Getting the job and how do you get good people.
Yeah. So looking at this journey of building Gameopedia, I guess, because you're very unique in the case that this has been the main thing for your full career, right?
Yeah, my career, this has been my only thing.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how do you learn how to be a better CEO, a better Frode? Because if you aren't taking things from your past experiences work-wise, how do you upskill? Like, I'm very curious how that journey has been.
Very cool question, Harry. One very important part for me, because for so long I had very limited capacity to do things and to also absorb knowledge. I remember when I was 2009, I was reading a book on E equals MC squared.
As you do.
Yeah, and it was like a very cool book, but I was struggling so much to absorb the information.
To reread stuff?
I had to reread a paragraph maybe 5 times. It takes very long to read a book if you have to do that And I remember one day I read a sentence, the same sentence 10 times. I have no idea what this is saying because my brain was just so foggy. So one of the things that became very important to me was self-reflectiveness. That you actually think about, okay, what is going on inside so that I can tackle situations in a better way. I can be more mature. I can be less hot-tempered. I can be more productive, can be more effective. I think that through my life, that has been one of the most important things. And in that, suffering is the biggest forcing function of change. Because you suffer and you really have to figure out, because you don't want to suffer, nobody wants to, but you really have to figure out, why am I suffering? Like, what is causing this? And of course, there's not always or often a very easy answer. I had no answer to why I was sick.
Yeah.
But I could at least use that suffering for something good, something meaningful. And for me, I think one of the biggest things has been that self-reflective nature that causes me to be open to feedback, to apologize when you messed up. We mess up all the time. Be quick to apologize. That's just a lesson in general that I've learned. If you're quick to apologizing, people will be much more forgiving when you do mistakes.
Yeah. It's a lot nicer to apologize before they even realize they were a mistake.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing for me was it taught me that I have to be transparent and honest, even when it's super uncomfortable and maybe stupid to be so. I have to strive for that. I have to be willing to ask for help. Because I couldn't do almost anything. For many years, I couldn't go to the kitchen and grab food. Because that meant I didn't have that hour the next day to work. So I had to be vulnerable. So I think that was a big thing for me. Today, I do a ton of reading on... I do a lot of podcast listening. Love that. That's fun. Sometimes I can find the long podcasts to be a bit drawn out. I would like shorter chunks. I love looking at clips from podcasts. Often I end up watching what it feels like, at least the whole thing, just in a clip-based form. I just keep up to date online, of course. And from a personal perspective, I pray a lot. I'm a Christian, so I pray, and then again, that comes that self-reflection. And I try to truly dig deeper into my soul to see what is wrong here. And how can I improve. So yeah, I think that would be... And then, of course, asking the team, what can I do better?
How regularly do you do this?
Which part of it?
Let's take all three.
Yeah.
Podcast maybe.
I do that every day.
Sweet. Same. The other two, I'm curious, because I'm relearning this lesson over and over the last year. Like me personally, the reflection part. And I've discovered from actually a recent podcast I had where he talks about just focusing on one thing at a time and just not avoiding the suffering. When I realized the suffering is literally where the answer is, at least in my business, like solve that problem.
Solve that problem.
Yeah, like 6 months ago was hire someone. Not as in tinker on the job description once a week until it's ready eventually.
Just get it done.
Like that's the only thing. So there's two questions, like maybe how often do you ask the team for help? And how do you do that? Because I feel like maybe this is me just being too scared of like how it's perceived. 'Cause I'm very conscious when I add something to someone else's plate, I guess. Maybe I'm overthinking this. What do you think?
Very good question. I was just about to say that I probably need to be better at asking.
Let's ask more.
To ask more. Because I think I have the same. I think we're both quite empathetic people. So when you have that empathy, you don't want to disturb. You don't want to put burdens on others. But I think it's a big lesson that I've learned is very often when you think you are avoiding burden, you are adding burden. And I can think about if you don't give negative feedback, for instance, because you want to lie, maybe not important enough to hurt that person's feelings, or it's probably actually the exact opposite. You can hurt them a lot less. You can cause them a lot less hurt if you just give them that honest feedback.
Wow, that happened to me last week. I just realized. Now that you said it, I had a graphic, and I was like, it's too small. So I just fixed it and posted it. And she never knows what I changed.
Yeah,
that's very stupid of me.
It is.
It's like it's very simple things. Just like when there's a logo, you need to have a decent amount of margin around the edge. Yeah. Tell her, goddammit.
Tell her.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
So I think that's. I think I need to be better at. I need to improve that part. A few years ago, I struggled with anxiety. Was on sick leave for 3 months, and for the first time in my life, I didn't think about work. And it was the depth to which you have to go to become free of that anxiety of like finding what's really the problem. At least that's.
Can I ask, like, what were you anxious about?
I think I just felt like everything was unsafe.
Unsafe. Was
Life
it overwhelming?
was overwhelming. I felt unpredictable. I felt like I couldn't cope with just living life.
I can imagine with what we've discussed today, like business, health.
Yeah, it was hard. And it was like there was some things that I think I never really addressed earlier in my life, where you're like, are you truly honest about your own shortcomings to yourself?
Yeah.
Are you truly honest? And there were some things that I realized that, no, I was not honest. I didn't want to open that door.
Because what does that mean?
What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm a failure? Does that mean that I'm not worth anything? What does that mean? And if you have those preconceived notions that this is where I get my value, it's very likely that you don't want to open that door and truly explore, am I even decent at this? Am I even half decent? Probably you're a lot better than you think you are, because you're afraid of it, so you push yourself. But there might be some surrounding anxiety and some things that you don't tackle because you're afraid of opening that door.
If someone's feeling like that now, anything you would tell them that you would like to have heard?
You have to give it some time. These are like deep psychological processes. If you think you can just snap your finger,
that's me. I really want to.
Me too. That's what I want. But it doesn't work like that. And don't be discouraged. And truly believe that when you come out the other side, if you actually are actively pursuing those closed doors that you do not want to open, you will be 10 times the person you were before you achieved this. And you will be so much freer to just be who you are.
Yeah.
I wasn't free to be who I was before I had anxiety. I look back now and see it. But now I see that anxiety was the suffering that was necessary for me to really challenge the last ghosts.
Yeah.
Or not the last, there's plenty more.
Yeah. We always have ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say that, and I realize in myself when I feel that way, because it was relatable. I don't think I had it to a point where I felt like I couldn't work, but I had it to a point where I didn't want to work. And it adds up over the week. And for me, a crutch has been my phone. Like, I don't need to put myself in this place where I need to think about my shortcomings. Phone.
Yeah.
I relax.
It's an escape mechanism.
And it's an escape mechanism which I feel like I'm worthy of. Because in my head, I'm doing okay. I'm hitting all my goals, I guess. And I'm also working a lot from, morning to late in the PM and do some late work. So when I'm feeling this sort of way, I'm like, let me just tomorrow or never, whatever. I had that period for a good few months, Frode. And it took until very weird, random occasion. I just signed up for someone's free 2-hour coaching session. And in the coaching session, there's a bunch of questions. And it was about like what you avoiding and whatnot. And by filling it out, I was like, yeah, it's there. And then after that free coaching session, which was, it was very nice. I just realized that, like for me, I'm just
avoiding.
A very self-shame person. When I know I could do more, I compare myself to that, and then I think I suck. But then me thinking I suck, I end up being the person I don't want to be. So it's like it's a loop.
It's a negative spiral.
Yeah.
I think you asked me what I would say. One thing I would say is you have to dare to stop doing the things that you are afraid of. So what you are afraid of usually stops you from something. For instance, were afraid to open those doors in your emotional center. And that meant that you took up your phone. So the fear is also not to take up your phone. It's a fear to open that door, so I will take my phone.
Yeah.
But if you stop that and be like, no, I will not take up my phone. I will not listen to that instinct. That breaks the pattern.
Yeah.
And you have to do that so many times. And you have to dare to do that. You have to dare to go against the fear. Exposure therapy is like the bomb.
Yeah. It's interesting. I use an app which stops me from opening certain apps at certain time zones. I'm wondering if part of the magic is it being and also a choice. Maybe that would help too.
I think so.
Yeah.
But it helps. It's never bad to be.
Yeah, I think you need both, basically, what I'm trying to get at.
And it's again good to be self-reflective. What is causing me to do this action?
Yeah.
What is causing me not to do this action?
I know what it is. I feel a lot better like the last couple of weeks.
I can promise you don't know.
I feel like it's overwhelmed.
Yeah, but
maybe something deeper.
But this is what I learned. Like I thought so many times in this process that it's like, oh yeah, I have the answer now. Or like, I know. But then I like dug deeper. I was like, whoa, there's a new layer here. And like, if you have I know you have a partner, a beautiful partner.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. And she sees things in you that you don't see in yourself.
This is very true.
Yeah. So even if
to remind me.
Yeah, exactly. My wife too. And I think this is the tendency that we as human beings have, that we only see bits and pieces of the puzzle, even in ourselves. So like when I say, I promise you that you don't know, it's because there are more layers that you will discover as you grow and as you have more suffering.
And maybe more conversations.
More conversations.
Because, I think more conversations. Like conversations like this, but also what you said about like my partner, who's here right now, feels weird not to say.
Hey Anna.
Behind the scenes. But yeah, I've been speaking to her a lot more about work, and it's been very useful because she gives a perspective which is very welcome because it's not from my bubble.
Yes.
And she sees things which she calls out as like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Why are you accepting that? And I'm like, yes. But for some reason, it didn't click when it's not from, when it's from outside the bubble. It's like, yeah.
When I smiled because you asked me about what I do to improve. I think listening to my wife is one of the biggest biggest ways for me to improve as well.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life, but also listen to the wife for a happier life for yourself.
Oh, and a wife that dares to challenge you.
Oh yeah, that's a good gift. Great gift.
That's a great gift.
Beautiful.
Or a partner, just in general.
Partner in general. Beautiful. Yeah. We uncovered a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Fun.
This was very fun. I want to recap. This is one of the longer ones. It's a beautiful setting here in the Gameopedia office. Thank you so much for having me. I don't usually do a recap. I feel
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I don't usually do a recap, but I feel like we're due.
Okay,
so
cool.
For anyone who's a game professional, camera, this one, hell yeah. Hey guys. So asklumos.com. This is not, I say this to the guests after a podcast, because they usually ask me, how did it go? No podcast is a step-by-step guide. So if anyone's interested or intrigued by the conversation today, please check asklumos.com.
Love that anybody writes to me if you have any questions about anything on LinkedIn.
Lovely. So
just
LinkedIn.
add me. Yeah. I love talking to people.
Hell yeah.
People is one of the best blessings in the world.
Nice. So reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you feel like we haven't spoken about today that you'd like to leave people with?
The first thing that came to mind that I kind of shoved aside because I thought maybe it was not fitting for this setting, but that's why I think I'll say it anyway. Take care of people. Take care of the people around you. And
why are you saying that?
Emotional. Because people took care of me when I couldn't give anything back. I wouldn't be here without that.
What does that look like, taking care of people?
It can be so many things. I've always had this. There's this story that my mom told me. I don't remember all the specifics, but it was a guy in her school that told, this was later, he told her teacher that it was one day I came to school and I planned to kill myself that day. But you smiled at me and asked me how I was doing. And that's all that it took. And I think it takes so little to care about other people and just see them, remember their names, say hello, give them a smile, ask them how they're doing, and mean it.
Yeah. In person and online.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I had this thing happening to me recently where I'm seeing negative yapping. That's what I'm calling it online.
So much.
We talked about this last night. So many people, I'm using the word yapping, just yapping, negative about other people, other types of people. And they could just use it for the other side. What? Like everything that is negative, things that you might not like. Okay, there's a flip side. There are behaviors you do like. Let's promote those. Let's tell those stories.
Be positive.
Or be the person who does more of those. I have a few examples in my head where I know they're yapping about this thing negatively, and I know they could be doing more about it. They choose not to, And it could be as small as thing as this. Why don't people... Yeah, it's just...
We talked about it yesterday as well. Give people compliments.
Oh my God.
Just like, wow, cool shoes.
I think it should be the law. It should be taught in a school. Yeah, compliment class.
And I like you. That's we both do it.
Yeah.
And when you meet people, find something about their outfit or their hair or like their posture or anything, and be like, "Whoa, cool! I like that. That's fun."
Yeah. It literally, for me, started conversations, which then become 8-year friendships.
Same here.
Yeah. And for the business people in the room, it makes money too. Because
it makes money too.
Yeah. And then when I mean makes money, it's because of the basis principle. It will start conversations, which I think is something the world desperately needs.
Yeah. We need more conversations.
Hell yeah.
More listening.
Yeah. Thank you for today's conversation.
Thank you, man.
All right. I feel like the handshake was due.
Yeah, it was
Sweet.
too.
Nice. Wrap up. Subscribe.